The Kayot HaKodesh, holy living creatures.
Elijah, the prophet with no origin. Did you know Elijah is one of the few prophets in the Bible with no recorded birth, no parents, no wife, and no children? Elijah arrived without warning, as if he stepped out of the wind itself. No scroll records his birth, no lineage traces his father, no tribe claims him with certainty. He simply appears. Standing before King Ahab, after King Solomon's death, Israel split into two nations. Judah in the south, ruled by David's line, Israel in the north, 10 tribes ruled by kings who abandoned God. Ahab was the 7th king of this northern kingdom. He ruled from Samaria, wealthy, fortified, powerful, politically skilled, militarily strong, but spiritually corrupt. Ahab married Jezebel, a Phoenician princess and devoted priestess of Baal, the storm god believed to control rain, crops, and prosperity. Through her, Baal worship became official. Temples were built, altars raised, true prophets hunted. Israel prospered outwardly, but decayed inwardly. And into this polluted environment, Elijah spoke, as though heaven stood behind his words. "As the Lord lives, there will be no rain or dew except by my word." Then he was gone. The skies closed. Clouds gathered, but gave nothing. This was not random punishment, it was a direct challenge. Baal did not control the rain. The God of Israel did. Elijah came from Gilead, wild, rugged, isolated. No royal blood, no priestly line. He appeared, he spoke, and after delivering judgment, Elijah vanished. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 2: Elijah in hiding. Faith forged in drought and fire. God sent Elijah eastward, away from cities, away from crowds, away from influence, to the brook Cherith near the Jordan River. There Elijah lived in hiding. No audience, no altar, no applause. Only a narrow stream cutting through dry land. Ravens brought him bread and meat, morning and evening, and he drank from the brook. This was not comfort, it was training. God was teaching Elijah dependence through isolation, shaping the prophet in secret while the nation suffered in public. But the drought, Elijah declared, did not spare him. The brook dried up, and when it did, God spoke again. This time Elijah was sent outside Israel, north, to Zarephath in Sidon, Jezebel's homeland, enemy territory. There God sent him not to a king, not to a priest, but to a widow, a woman with no power, no protection, and barely enough food to live another day. When Elijah asked for bread, she told him the truth. She was preparing her final meal, and then death. Elijah told her not to fear. He promised that her jar of flour and jug of oil would not run out, and they didn't. Day after day, provision appeared. God was showing something profound. While Israel rejected him, faith still lived beyond its borders. Then the unthinkable happened. The widow's son became sick and died. Elijah carried the child to an upper room. He cried out to God. He stretched himself over the body, and life returned. This was the first recorded resurrection in Scripture. It revealed something deeper. Elijah did not merely speak to God. He stood at the boundary where life and death listen. After 3.5 years, the drought tightened its grip. God commanded Elijah to return. When Elijah met King Ahab again, the king called him the troubler of Israel. Elijah answered without fear. He accused Ahab of abandoning God and following Baal. Then Elijah issued a summons. The nation of Israel, King Ahab, and the 450 prophets of Baal, all called to Mount Carmel, a mountain overlooking the Mediterranean, standing between Israel and Phoenicia, between the God of Israel and the God of Jezebel. The stage was set, and fire was coming. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 3: Elijah and the Fire. When God spoke in silence and passed the flame, Elijah confronted the people directly, asking how long they would waver between two gods. He proposed a test. The God who answered by fire would be acknowledged as the true God. The prophets of Baal cried out all day, cutting themselves and calling on Baal, but no fire came. Elijah rebuilt the broken altar of the Lord, drenched the sacrifice with water, and prayed once, "Fire, fell from heaven, consuming stone, flesh, water, everything. The people fell face down in fear and declared the Lord as God. Judgment followed. Elijah prayed with his face to the ground, and a small cloud rose from the sea. It grew, the sky opened, and rain returned to the land. Yet even after this victory, Elijah fled. Because Jezebel swore to kill him, and fear overtook him, he ran south, crossing from Israel into Judah, and then into the wilderness beyond. There, beneath a broom tree, Elijah asked God to let him die. Instead, God sent an angel to feed him and told him to rest. Twice. Again, God called Elijah to Mount Horeb. Elijah traveled 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Horeb, also called Mount Sinai, the mountain where Moses had encountered God centuries earlier. At Horeb, Elijah experienced wind, earthquake, and fire, but God was not in any of them. Then came a sound of sheer silence, thin and gentle, and Elijah covered his face. God spoke to him there, not in judgment, but in direction. Elijah was told his work would continue through others. He was instructed to anoint kings, and he would raise another prophet, a successor called Elisha, son of Shaphat, to carry the flame forward. Leaving Horeb, Elijah returned north to Israel. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 4. The Calling of Elisha, How Elijah Met Elisha. Before Elijah ever saw Elisha, his name was already Elisha, son of Shaphat. He lived in Abel-Meholah, working the land, guiding 12 yoke of oxen through the soil. This was no poor farmer. 12 yoke meant order, provision, and responsibility. Yet beneath the dust of the fields was a man whose life had been quietly aligned with heaven from birth. Elisha, meaning, "My God is salvation." Elijah found Elisha plowing fields in Abel-Meholah in the Jordan Valley. Elijah threw his mantle over him without speaking as he passed by. In that instant, something ancient and unseen shifted. Elisha understood immediately. He asked only for a moment to kiss his parents goodbye. Then he did something irreversible. He slaughtered the oxen and burned the plowing equipment, using it as fuel for the fire. The life he had lived was gone. There would be no return. Heaven does not share vessels with divided hearts. From that day, Elisha followed Elijah not as a servant alone, but as a disciple absorbing mystery, discipline, and the weight of divine presence. Elisha served Elijah for many years, traveling with him across the kingdoms of Israel, observing miracles, learning the ways of God, and preparing to inherit the prophetic office. During this time, Elijah continued his ministry, moving with purpose through Israel. He confronted kings, anointed rulers, and performed signs and wonders, always teaching Elisha not through lectures alone, but by example. Elisha witnessed the full spectrum of prophetic work: confrontation, mercy, judgment, prayer, and intimate communion with God. Every miracle, every act of courage or faith became a living lesson. In all of this, Elisha learned that prophetic power is not in the man, but in his alignment with God. Elijah and Elisha also journeyed into the wilderness at times. These were periods of reflection and preparation, where the elements themselves seemed to teach lessons: rain and drought, wind and calm, fire and silence. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 5. The Mantle and the Whirlwind, a Test of Staying. Over time, the bond between master and student grew stronger. Elisha began to understand the rhythm of Elijah's ministry: when to act boldly, when to wait, when to pray, and when to confront. He learned the secret of the mantle, the symbol of prophetic authority, and slowly began to feel its weight, pressing into his spirit, shaping him, preparing him to take over. Years later, when Elijah was about to be taken, Elijah knew it. The heavens knew it. And Elisha, though he did not yet understand everything, felt the gravity of it settling deep within him. He refused to leave Elijah's side. 3 times Elijah tested him. 3 times Elisha stayed. They stood together at Gilgal, the place of beginnings and endings. The air was heavy with unspoken truth. Elijah turned to Elisha and said calmly, almost gently, "Stay here. The Lord has sent me to Bethel." It sounded simple, polite, almost casual, but it was not a request. It was a test. Elisha answered without hesitation, his voice steady, resolved. "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel together. There the sons of the prophets came out quietly and whispered to Elisha, their voices low, almost fearful, "Do you know that the Lord will take your master away from you today?" Elisha did not argue. He did not react. He answered softly, firmly, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." This was not gossip to him. This was sacred ground. At Bethel, Elijah tried again. "Elisha, stay here. The Lord has sent me to Jericho." Another chance to turn back. Another door offered. Elisha replied exactly as before. "As the Lord lives, and as you live, I will not leave you." And they walked on. At Jericho, the sons of the prophets repeated the warning. Again, Elisha repeated the same words. "I know. Be silent." Because this was not about knowing the outcome. It was about staying faithful through the process. At Jericho, Elijah tested him one final time. "Stay here. The Lord has sent me to the Jordan." This was the last threshold. Beyond the Jordan, there was no return. Elisha's voice rose with fire, unshaken, unyielding. "As the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." 50 prophets stood at a distance, watching in silence as the two men approached the river. Elijah took his mantle, the symbol of his calling, and struck the water. The Jordan split in two. They crossed on dry ground. On the other side, Elijah stopped. He turned to Elisha, his words heavy with finality, weighted with eternity. "Ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you." This was not a casual offer. This was a moment of inheritance. Elisha did not ask for wealth. He did not ask for safety. He did not ask for reputation. He said with humility and clarity, "Please let there be a double portion of your spirit upon me." This was not arrogance. In ancient Israel, a double portion was the inheritance of the firstborn. Elisha was not asking to be greater than Elijah. He was asking to be recognized as the true successor. Elijah looked at him with piercing clarity and replied, "You have asked a hard thing." Then he set the condition. "If you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so for you, but if not, it shall not be so." Not because Elijah controlled the gift, but because spiritual authority must be witnessed, not assumed. As they walked and spoke, suddenly, a chariot of fire appeared, horses of fire, a violent separation of heaven and earth. Elijah was taken up by a whirlwind. Elisha cried out with everything in him, his voice tearing the sky. My father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen." And then Elijah was gone. The mantle fell. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 6. The Beginning and the Calling of Elisha. Did you know Elisha's first miracle was to part the same Jordan that Elijah parted to work on dry ground before the chariot took him? Elisha also lifted the curse Joshua put on Jericho. After Elijah was taken from Elisha, as explained in the previous video, Part 5, Elisha tore his clothes in grief, not because Elijah was gone, but because the old world had ended. The voice that had guided him, tested him, walked beside him, was gone. The path he had followed no longer existed. Something final had happened, and Elisha felt it tear through him. Then he saw it. The mantle. Elijah's mantle had fallen, the very cloth that had struck the Jordan, the symbol of prophetic authority. The weight he had watched for years, now lying on the ground. Elisha picked it up, not ceremonially, not triumphantly, but soberly. He turned back toward the Jordan River, the same river that had parted moments before, the same boundary between what was and what would be. Elisha struck the water and spoke, not loudly, not defiantly, but with trembling clarity. "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" The waters split again. In that moment, Elisha knew something unmistakable. The God who worked through Elijah had not left the earth. He had simply changed vessels. From a distance, the sons of the prophets watched as Elisha crossed the river alone. When they saw the waters part, they bowed, not because Elisha demanded honor, but because authority announces itself without words. Yet Elisha did not stay to receive applause. The mantle compelled movement. His first assignment led him to Jericho, a city with a troubled spiritual history. Long ago, Jericho had been rebuilt under a curse spoken by Joshua. Outwardly, the city appeared stable, even prosperous. But inwardly, something was wrong. The leaders came to Elisha carefully, respectfully. They explained that the land miscarried its fruit. The water was bad. Life itself struggled to continue. Elisha listened. He did not rebuke the people. He did not accuse their sin. Instead, he asked for a new bowl and salt. The new bowl mattered. In ancient understanding, what carries healing must not itself be contaminated. The salt mattered. It symbolized covenant, preservation, permanence. Elisha went to the source of the water. This was deliberate. He understood that problems downstream cannot be fixed downstream. When he cast the salt into the spring, he did not plead. He declared, "This is what the Lord says, I have healed these waters." And from that moment, the land changed. Crops began to grow. Pregnancies carried to term. The quiet curse broke. Elisha had announced his ministry clearly. He would not merely confront fire from heaven. He would restore what had been quietly dying. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Part 7. Judgment, Silence, and the Quiet Power of God. As Elisha traveled on, he passed near Bethel, a center of false worship and spiritual corruption. The air itself carried resistance. There, young men came out and mocked him openly. Their voices were loud, intentional, defiant. They called him Baldhead, not as a joke about appearance, but as a rejection of prophetic legitimacy. In the ancient world, to mock a prophet was to reject the God who sent him. Elisha turned. This was not wounded pride, it was judicial authority. He pronounced judgment, and wild bears emerged from the forest. The moment was sudden, final. This reveals something uncomfortable but essential. Restorative power must be balanced by authority, or it becomes ineffective. Elisha did not choose violence. Judgment responded to open spiritual rebellion. Then he moved on. Soon after, Elisha was summoned into a military crisis. 3 kings had allied for war and found themselves trapped in the wilderness without water. Soldiers and animals were collapsing. Panic ruled the camp. The king of Israel expected reassurance. Elisha gave truth. He made it clear that political power alone meant nothing in the presence of God. Only the presence of righteousness opened the door for mercy. Then Elisha did something revealing. He asked for a musician. The battlefield was loud. Fear, urgency, ego, and desperation filled the air. Elisha understood that prophecy does not flow through agitation. As the music played, his spirit quieted, aligned, and opened. Then he spoke, not of rain, not of storms, but of ditches. "Dig trenches," he said. The instruction seemed foolish, but obedience prepared capacity. Overnight, water filled the land without visible source. Heaven provided quietly, efficiently, without spectacle. Elisha showed that God does not need drama to be powerful. Not every miracle was public. To watch more videos, share. Thank you for watching. The room that held life, oil, space, and the resurrection, hidden in quiet faith. A widow came to Elisha, trembling. Her husband, a prophet, had died. Debt remained. Creditors were coming to take her sons. Elisha did not panic. He never does. He asked what she had. "Nothing," she said, then corrected herself, "except a little oil." That little was enough. Elisha instructed her to borrow empty vessels, many of them, and then shut the door. What happened next was private, intentional, and sacred. Oil flowed until every vessel was full. Time passed. Elisha traveled on, passing through the quiet hills of Shunem, where daily life moved with the rhythm of harvests and hearth fires. There lived a woman unlike the others. Scripture never names her, yet heaven remembers her clearly. She was described simply as great, not for her wealth alone, but for her discernment. She noticed what others overlooked. Whenever the prophet Elisha passed through her town, she watched him closely. His words were measured. His presence carried weight. He did not strive to be impressive, yet something holy followed him like a shadow. She said to her husband, "I know that this is a holy man of God who passes by us continually." She did not say famous. She did not say powerful. She said holy. So she did something quietly radical. She did not ask him for a blessing. She did not request prophecy. She did not seek miracles. She made space. On the wall of her home, she built a small upper chamber, simple, intentional, set apart. A bed, a table, a lamp, a place where the presence of God could rest. Hospitality became her act of faith. She honored what she discerned before she ever received anything from it. And heaven took note. One day, Elisha asked what could be done for her in return. She stood content among her people, lacking nothing she dared to name. But the prophet, seeing with eyes sharpened by God, discerned what even she had learned to live without. A child. Her husband was old. Time had closed the door. Hope had been folded away. Elisha spoke anyway. "At this season, about this time next year, you shall embrace a son." The words startled her. Hope can wound when it has been buried too long. She protested gently, "No, my lord, man of God, do not lie to your servant." Yet the word stood, and in due time the impossible cried its first breath in her arms. The room she built for God had become the womb where promise lived. Years passed, the child grew. One day, under the burning sun, working in the fields with his father, pain struck him suddenly, violent, inexplicable. He was carried home, laid on his mother's knees until noon, and then he died. Here is where the story becomes holy ground. She did not scream. She did not summon neighbors. She did not prepare the body for burial. She carried her dead son upstairs to the very room she had built for God and laid him on the prophet's bed. Then she shut the door. What God births, only God can revive. She set her face toward Mount Carmel. When her husband asked why she was going, she answered only, "It is well." Not because it felt well, but because faith does not deny pain, it directs it. She did not speak to servants. She did not explain herself to doubters. She went straight to the source. When she reached Elisha, she fell at his feet, not in drama, but in truth. The grief she had held with iron discipline poured out. "Did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, 'Do not deceive me'?" This was not unbelief. This was covenant honesty. Elisha returned with her. Entering the room, he shut the door behind them both. No audience, no spectacle. Resurrection is not a performance. It is an intimacy. He prayed. Then he did something strange, something deeply human and deeply prophetic. He lay upon the child, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. He aligned his entire being with the lifeless body. This was deliberate identification, life pressing against death without fear. The warmth of the prophet's body began to pass into the cold flesh of the boy. Stillness lingered. Elisha rose. He paced. Then he returned and did it again, persisting until heaven answered. The child sneezed 7 times. Then he opened his eyes. Life responded to life. When Elisha called the woman, she fell at his feet again, but this time in awe, not anguish. She took her son in her arms, the weight of resurrection pressing against her chest. The room she built for God became the chamber where death was reversed. This is the mystery of Shunem. She made space without demanding reward. She received promise without grasping. She faced loss without surrendering hope. And because she honored the presence of God, God honored her life. To watch more videos, please subscribe, turn on your notification, like and share. Thank you for watching. Elijah, the prophet with no origin. Did you know Elijah is one of the few prophets in the Bible with no recorded birth, no parents, no wife, and no children? Elijah arrived without warning, as if he stepped out of the wind itself. No scroll records his birth, no lineage traces his father, no tribe claims him with certainty. He simply appears. Standing before King Ahab, after King Solomon's death, Israel split into two nations. Judah in the south, ruled by David's line, Israel in the north, 10 tribes ruled by kings who abandoned God. Ahab was the